Bismillah, Alhamdulillah, As-salatu was-salamu ala Rasulillah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Until now, we have been discussing about the letters. Letters are the building blocks of any language, and the smallest unit in the Quran is also a letter. Letters make words, and words make an ayah or a verse, and these verses together makes a surah. And to achieve the highest level of recitation, we need to know the proper pronunciation of the smallest unit, which is a letter. For the proper pronunciation of a letter, its makhraj and sifat are very important, and we have already discussed about them. And we know that even if one of them is missing, we cannot give the proper pronunciation of that letter. But the letters in the Quran are either Mutaharrik, voweled, or Saakin, non-voweled. A Mutaharrik letter comes with a vowel. You can also call it a haraka or tashkil, and you can see their signs like this: Fatha, Dhamma, Kasra, or Zir, Zabar, and Pesh. And a Saakin letter is a letter that is free of any vowel. It does not have any Fatha, Dhamma, or Kasra. Saakin letters sometimes can be seen with the sign of a sukun or a jazm on the top. Sometimes it's just the letter written, and when there is nothing on the top or bottom, then we consider that letter as a Saakin letter. And inshallah, today we will be discussing about Saakin and Mutaharrik letters. And we will try to look how these letters are formed and how can we recite letters when they are Saakin or Mutaharrik in the best possible way. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us the ability to listen, and there are 4 possible ways through which the sound can reach to our ears. The first one is strong collision of 2 bodies. An example of this could be clapping of the hands. The second one is parting of the 2 bodies from each other, and between them there is a strong bond. And an example for this is tearing of a paper. The third possible way is vibration of a body, and an example for this could be a tuning fork or pulling of a strong string. Another possible way is the strong friction of an object on another object, and an example could be dragging a heavy box on a rough surface. While using some of these methods, we try to find out how do the following letters occur. If the letters are mutaharrik, يعني voweled, if they have fatha, dhamma, or kasra, or if they are sakin letters, they don't have any vowel on them. And the third one is qalqalah. Vowel letters occur by the parting of the 2 components of the makhraj, along with an appropriate mouth and jaw movement. Before we take an example of a letter, let's see the mouth and jaw movement for vowels. If the vowel is a fatha, fatha comes with the opening of the mouth. Dhamma comes with the circling of the lips, and kasra comes with the retraction of the lower jaw, or if you pull your lower jaw back as if you are smiling. Now let's take an example of the letter ba. The makhraj of the letter ba is from the 2 lips. The 2 components of the makhraj are 2 lips. If I close my lips like this, I cannot say letter ba with a fatha. If I have to give letter ba with the fatha, I have to part the 2 components of the makhraj. In this case, I have to part the 2 lips. And now when letter ba has a fatha, so fatha comes with the opening of the mouth. So I will say ba. I will part 2 lips plus opening of the mouth. One thing that I have to make sure that I don't say ba, because in this case, I'm not opening my mouth properly. In fact, I'm using the sides, and this is not right. In case of fatha, I should be opening my mouth, and I should not be giving imala. Imala is the sound between fatha and kasra, and I should be avoiding it. I should not be saying ba, I should be saying ba. Opening of the mouth with the parting of 2 lips in case of ba having a fatha. If ba has a dhamma, I will say boo. I have to part 2 lips. Because ba has a dhamma, I have to circle my lips. If I don't circle my lips properly, the sound will become bo. and I have to make sure that I'm giving oo sound with dhamma or pesh and not an o sound. So I have to avoid an o sound. And how can I avoid this? By circling of my lips with dhamma. So I will say boo. When ba has a kasra, I will part two lips and retraction of the lower jaw. I should not be saying be, I should be saying be, B, like an English letter, E sound. And I can give a proper kasra if I pull back my lower jaw as if I am smiling. I have to say letter ba with kasra like a B sound and not a ba sound. These are the points we should consider when we are reciting letters with fatha, dhamma, or kasra. We also need to make sure that we do not stretch these letters too much, that we start giving them a mud sound. So instead of saying ba, I say ba. Instead of saying boo, I say boo. Instead of saying b, I say b. So I have to make sure when I'm reciting these letters, try to avoid too much stretching of these letters so you don't make them a mud letter and give them only one count. So this is how you give vowel letters. You part the two components of the makhraj along with the appropriate mouth and jaw movement. Sakin letters come with the collision of two components of the makhraj, and there is no mouth and jaw movement with Sakin letters. But there is one exception in mud letters and leen letters. And what is a mud letter? There are three mud letters, alif, waw, and ya, and they become a mud letter only when they are Sakin preceded by a vowel that is compatible to them. If you look into these examples, letter waw is in a Sakin condition, and the letter before letter waw has a dhamma. Dhamma has a oo sound. It is compatible with letter waw. So waw is in a mad condition. Letter ya is sakin, and before letter ya, there is letter zal with the kasra. Kasra is an e sound, and it is compatible with letter ya. So ya is in a mad condition. In this case, alif is sakin, and before alif, the letter has a fatha. Fatha is an a sound. Letter alif is in a mad condition. So although letter alif, letter ya, and letter waw, all three are sakin, but these sakin letters do not come with the collision of two components. Rather, they come with the vibration of the vocal cords. The same way, two leen letters, which are letter ya and letter waw, and they become a leen letter when they are sakin and preceded by a fatha. So if you see in this example, letter waw is sakin and it has a fatha before it. In this case, letter ya is sakin and it has a fatha before it. And now letter ya and letter waw are in a leen condition, and we will say khawf, shay, and this letter ya and this letter waw are in the leen condition, and leen letters come with the vibration of the vocal cords and not with the collision. But there is one more thing that these letters have other than the vibration of the vocal cords. They also have the mouth and jaw movement accompanying them. If you see in this example, letter waw is in a mud condition, and if I want to recite it, I will say ju. So I cannot give a waw mud unless I circle my lips. I cannot give letter ya unless I pull back my lower jaw. I cannot give alif mud unless I open my mouth. All these letters, they come with the vibration of the vocal cords plus the mouth and jaw movement. If you see in these examples, when waw and ya are in leen conditions, so we will say khawf. I cannot say khaw unless I circle my two lips. So I have to say khawf. I cannot give the proper letter waw in a leen condition unless I circle my two lips. In this case, shay, I cannot give the proper letter ya leen unless I pull back my lower jaw. So we will see some examples here. In case of letter meme, which is in a sakin condition, we will say the makhraj of letter meme comes with two lips. So if I say so my two lips, they collide with each other, and through that we can hear the sound and this is how sakin letters come. In case of mud letters or leen letters, Although they are sakin, but they don't come with the collision. They come with the vibration of the vocal cords along with the mouth and jaw movement. In case of alif mad, there is vibration of the vocal cord plus the opening of the mouth. So we will say a. In case of letter ya mad, we say e. It comes with the vibration of the vocal cord plus the retraction of the lower jaw. In case of waw mad, oo. It comes with the vibration of the vocal cord plus the circling of the two lips. In case of ya leen, although ya leen is sakin, but it comes with the vibration of the vocal cords plus the retraction of the lower jaw. I. In case of waw leen, ow. It comes with the vibration of vocal cords plus the circling of the two lips. When reciting a word that has vowel letters and sakin letters, for example, tub, tum, we need to make sure that we circle our lips for letter ta, because letter ta has a dhamma. So we say tu with dhamma. But when we reach to letter ba, we should not keep our lips in a circling position. Rather, we should make them neutral. And then when we move to ta again, because the word is tub, tum. So once we reach to the next ta, we circle our lips again. But when we reach to letter mim, and it is sakin, so the sakin letters come with the collision. So in case of sakin letter mim, only the two lips will collide, but there should not be circling of the lips because of the ta which is coming before it. Because if I keep my lips circled when I reach to letter ba and letter mim, the sound will become like this, tubu tumum, which is not required, because when we are saying vowel letters, we give the mouth and jaw movement, but if the letter is sakin, we try to avoid the mouth and jaw movement. Qalqalah literally means shaking or disturbance, but in Tajweed rules, Qalqalah means bouncing on certain letters when they are sakin. And these letters are qutub, jad, qaf, ta, ba, jim, and dal. If these letters are vowel, if they have a fatha, dhamma, or kasra, then we pronounce them with the parting of the two components of the makhraj with the mouth and jaw movement. But when these letters are sakin, their makhraj is completely closed and the sound is imprisoned behind the makhraj. That's why it was difficult for the Arab people to pronounce these letters without parting the two components of the makhraj. And that's the reason that the Qalqalah letters share the common factors from both sakin and vowel letters. So let's see how can we pronounce them. Aq, aq, ab, aj, ad. So Qalqalah letters are similar to the sakin letters as there is no mouth or jaw movement, but there is no collision of the two components of the makhraj. Let's take an example of letter ba. If I'm saying ab, I'm only colliding the two components and now there is no qalqalah. So for qalqalah, I have to part two components, otherwise I cannot give qalqalah. So the proper sound of qalqalah can only come if I part two components. So I will say ab. Unless I separate my two lips, I cannot give letter ba with qalqalah. So qalqalah letters are similar to the vowel letters as there is parting of the two components of the makhraj. But qalqalah letters are similar to the sakin letters because there is no mouth or jaw movement. Let's take the same example of letter ba. And if I give letter ba a mouth or a jaw movement, the sound will be like this, aba, which is wrong. So I should avoid the mouth and jaw movement, which is exactly similar to the sakin letters. But in Qalqalah letters, there is a parting of the two components of the makhraj. So if we try to conclude, so Qalqalah letters only come by parting of the two components of the makhraj without the mouth and the jaw movement. Qalqalah is the bouncing on the letters, qutub, jad. And we recite these letters with qalqalah only when they are sakin. And qalqalah occurs when we part two components of the makhraj without any mouth and jaw movement. If we see this example, we bounce on the letter ba by parting the two components, but we don't open the mouth to make this letter ba letter having a fatha, or we don't circle our lips as if this ba has a dhamma. or we don't pull back our lower jaw as if this letter ba has a kasra. So we will recite it like this. Ab. If I give this letter ba with opening of the mouth, the sound will become aba. And if I say ubu, so I'm adding circling of the lips, which is wrong. If I say ibi, ibi, now I am pulling my lower jaw back, which is giving this ba with a kasra. When you are reciting Qalqalah letters, try to avoid the mouth and jaw movement. Only recite them by parting the two components of the makhraj. If a Qalqalah letter has a shadda, if you see in this example, letter qaf has a shadda. And a shadda letter consists of two letters. The first one is always sakin and the second one with a vowel. So in this case, there are two qafs. The first one is sakin and the second one has a fatha. If you combine them both, this is how you will write it. Qaf having a shadda with a fatha. If I want to stop on this word, the first qaf will be sakin and now the second qaf is also sakin. But here, my first qaf will not come with the Qalqalah rules. It will only come as a sakin letter, and I will say this letter qaf with the collision of the two components. But this qaf, which is the second one, I will give this qaf with Qalqalah, which is parting of the two components without any mouth or jaw movement. If I try to recite it, I will say it like this. Al-haqq. And if you are thinking, why don't we recite this letter qaf with the qalqalah? So remember, if I recite this letter qaf with the qalqalah, that means I have to part two components. Then I will be saying al-haqq like this, which is wrong. So the first qaf will only come with the collision or tasadum, but the second qaf will follow the rules of qalqalah, which is parting of the two components without any mouth and jaw movement. Qalqalah is divided into two types. The first one is Qalqalah Sughra. If the Qalqalah letter is in the middle of a word or at the end of a word and we are not stopping on that word, in that case, we will lightly bounce on the Qalqalah letter and we move on. If you see in this example, we will say Abwaba, Taqdiru, Qad Aflaha. So in these cases, we pronounce Qalqalah letters and immediately move to the next letter or the next word. The second type is Qalqalah Kubra. In Qalqalah Kubra, the Qalqalah letter is the last letter of the word and we are choosing to stop on that word. So in this case, we stop with a heavy bounce. If we see in these examples, Tab, Al-Haqq, Bil-Uqud, Ma'ab. When you are stopping on a Qalqalah letter and there is a shadda on the Qalqalah letter, the sound is slightly different because the first letter is coming with the collision of the two components and the second letter is coming with Qalqalah. So for Qalqalah letters, do not open your mouth, do not move your jaw, just separate the two components of the makhraj and inshallah this will help you to give your Qalqalah letters properly. I hope this is clear to you. That's the end of this lesson. Inshallah, we will continue with the next topic in our next session. Jazakumullah khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.